Well, we have time for one more topic today, and this is sort of a general outside-the-box topic, and it is about title belts. We get a lot of title belts on the line at Hell in a Cell this Sunday, so...
And a lot that aren't.
Yes, and we had spoken before about John Cena winning the World Heavyweight title and what that could mean to possibly unifying the belts. So, my question to you, and I'll give my answer as well, is taking the current title picture... we have, I believe, 6 championships. You have the choice of unifying, adding, dropping, whatever you want with the belts lineup. How would you set the belt in today's WWE? Assuming storylines and stuff weren't a major obstacle, how would you align the belts and the hierarchy and whatnot? Go.
Personally, I would unify it so there was one world heavyweight title, like one big title, unify the mid-card titles, and then have the tag team and divas titles. So there's 4 belts. So you have the guy, the face of the WWE, quote unquote. You have the mid-card guy, and then you have then everything else stays the same, because especially with the mid-card titles, one of them at all times is feeling irrelevant, if not both. You could almost get rid of that problem completely by unifying the Intercontinental and the United States title.
Honestly, I completely agree, and I wish I could give a different type of answer, and I will give you a question after I explain mine. But I would do pretty much the same thing, and I agree that there's too many belts. You kind of lose meaning between the World Heavyweight and all the mid-card belts. Someone coming in who's never watched wrestling is probably going to be pretty confused about what the purpose of the World Heavyweight title is, because they're going to be like, well, what does that mean in comparison to the WWE Championship?
Exactly.
Why do they have 2 of them? Obviously, when there was the 2 brands, it made a lot of sense.
That made a lot more sense.
Yes, but now it doesn't. And there is too many mid-card belts. The US and the Intercontinental both really don't need to exist anymore. So bringing it down to that 4 would mean a lot. Now, how would you feel about, because in a lot of ways the World Heavyweight belt is almost like the Intercontinental belt. What if you got rid of the Intercontinental in US and you had the World Heavyweight in WWE? If we were going on prestige factor to keep titles a little more prestigious.
I think I don't think it would work. I think because of the place that the World Heavyweight title has kind of been in, like if you move the World Heavyweight title down to a mid-card belt, like, you don't want the heavyweight champion of the world to be a mid-carder.
You do make a good point, because the reason I asked that was kind of thinking from that space. It's like, to me, the World Heavyweight Championship belt means as much as the Intercontinental belt used to mean. As in, it does mean something when somebody wins it. It has value. And it's like the only singles belt that I can think of in recent memory that isn't the main title, to me, that feels like it has value. And that's why I asked it. I agree.
If you got rid of it, then that would almost add prestige to the mid-card title. If there was just one of them, it would make its own spot in between where the World Heavyweight title is and where the mid-card title is now.
Absolutely. No,
I feel like it would add more... Sorry, I keep cutting you off. It would add more value to that mid-card title, where it would be a true step between being the top guy and working your way up the card.
And I think that is probably the best solution. And I think there's a fear of getting rid of these belts because they feel like guys on the roster won't have anything to do anymore. They won't have something to fight for.
But does every feud have to be about a title?
Exactly. This would force them to actually be creative again and come up with different reasons for feuds. How often do you see, the old feuds you used to see over like something as stupid like, this for the management services of a diva or some shit like that. They never do things like that. Or when
the big boss man turned Al Snow's dog into a plate of Chinese food.
Yes.
So there is a dark side to this coin.
There is, but you know what? It's entertaining, or at least interesting, catches your attention, if nothing else.
That it does.
So I think this in turn would force them to be more creative with their storylines as well. So there's a lot of externalities that come from, decreasing the size of belts, as well as you're adding value and prestige to the ones that are there and making it that much more important when they fight for it.
It breaks down to the classic argument of quantity over quality.
Yes, less is more.